Welcome to DarrenDaily On Demand, your most trusted resource to help you become better every day. Today's episode is another special recap of this week's DarrenDaily Mentor Sessions. This dynamic recap was generated entirely by AI and features two hosts discussing the key principles and takeaways from the previous 5 Workday episodes of DarrenDaily. Now remember, if you aren't a member of the DarrenDaily community to receive every morning delivery of brand new episodes of DarrenDaily straight to your inbox, you can join over at DarrenDaily.com/join. Let's dive into the episode.
All right, so we're back and ready to jump into a new deep dive.
Excited to see where this one takes us.
Me too. So this time, we're tackling 5 days worth of motivational episodes.
5 whole days.
5. From none other than Darren Hardy. And he spent years and years studying all these super successful people.
Oh, wow. So he knows his stuff.
Yeah, and he's distilling it all down, right, into these short, punchy episodes.
So kind of like bite-sized motivation.
Exactly. We're talking how to focus better, build real confidence, not just fake it till you make it kind of stuff.
Oh, I need that.
Right. Mm-hmm. And even how to handle all those curveballs life throws at you.
Because there are always curveballs.
Always. So think of this deep dive as your cheat sheet to success.
I like it.
We're going to pull out all the good stuff, the absolute gold from Darren's episodes.
Perfect. Cut through the noise.
Exactly. To help you, navigate your own path.
It's awesome.
So what I found really interesting is how Darren takes these basic ideas, right? These concepts we've all heard before, but he flips them on their head,
Kind of like a fresh perspective.
Totally.
Huh.
He doesn't just say be more confident. He actually digs into why that advice can totally backfire.
Yeah, it can if you're not actually doing anything.
Right. And then he gives you a real plan.
Okay, an action plan.
An actual actionable plan for building that deep down confidence that actually lasts.
That's what we need, right?
Totally. And the cool thing is he starts strong right out of the gate. Monday's episode, he tells this story about how he totally missed out on. A key insight from Jack Welch.
No way. How'd that happen?
Audio interference. Could you believe it?
Oof. Talk about a missed opportunity.
Right. A major facepalm moment. But he uses this embarrassing story to introduce this really important idea.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Separating the signal from the noise.
I like that.
It's so good. Right?
Yeah.
And it's so relevant.
Especially these days, right? There's just so much noise everywhere you turn.
Seriously. So it's imagine trying to tune your radio to your favorite station, but all you hear is static.
Oh, yeah. I've been there. Frustrating.
The worst. So that static, that's the noise.
Okay, so what's the signal?
The signal is what you're actually trying to hear, like that perfect song or the news update you need.
Got it.
And Darren's saying that's what we're up against every single day.
In life in general.
Oh, yeah. In our work, our relationships, everywhere. Think about your work life for a second. What are those key decisions, those things that really move the needle for you?
Okay, so those are the signals.
Exactly. And what about all the endless emails, the meetings that could have been emails, all the distractions?
Ugh, the noise.
So much noise.
So basically, it's all about recognizing what's truly important.
Yeah, and making sure your energy goes there to those signals.
Makes sense.
And it's the same with your personal life, right? Recognizing those real, meaningful connections and experiences.
Okay, yeah, versus getting sucked into, the endless scroll of social media.
Right, that black hole of noise.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? I mean, it's easy to say focus on the signal, but our world is literally designed to bombard us with noise, right?
Right. It's everywhere you turn, there's something trying to grab your attention.
It's overwhelming. So how do we cut through it?
Well, you got to be intentional, really intentional about where you focus your attention. Think of it like a spotlight. You've got this limited beam of light, and you have to choose where you shine it.
I like that.
So ask yourself, what are the projects, relationships, or activities that really, truly matter to me?
Okay, those are my signals.
Exactly. And once you know what those signals are, you can start filtering out the noise.
It's like spring cleaning for your brain.
I love that.
Okay, so Tuesday's episode takes this focus idea even further and brings in Kobe Bryant.
Kobe. Okay, now I'm really interested.
Do you remember that conversation you had with Isaiah Thomas?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Was that the one about focus?
It was. The one where Kobe tells Isaiah to focus,
Like what?
like a lion hunting.
Intense. I like it.
Right. Such a powerful image.
Okay, paint the picture for me.
All right. So picture this lion, right? Stalking its prey. So focused, so determined.
Yeah, where's our focus?
But there are insects buzzing all around, right? Trying to distract it.
Ah, but the lion doesn't even flinch.
Exactly. Never takes its eyes off the prize.
So Kobe's saying to reach your goals, you've got to have that same intensity.
That relentless focus,
Yeah.
your big goal, that's your prey. And all the doubts, the critics, the unexpected problems.
Those are the insects.
Exactly. Buzzing around, trying to throw you off course.
So we would swat them away.
And stay locked in on our target.
I'm feeling motivated already.
So think about your own life for a second. What's your prey right now? What's that big, juicy goal you're going after?
Good question.
Right. And what are those insects that are like buzzing around trying to steal your focus?
Maybe for me, it's that voice in my head that says, I'm not good enough.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. And also just the constant influx of information, Social media, news, it's like a fire hose.
Yeah, it's tough to filter it all out.
But it's so important to try.
Absolutely, because once you know what those insects are, you can start coming up with strategies to deal with them.
Swat them away.
Okay, now Wednesday's episode gets into something I think we all struggle with from time to time. Confidence.
Oh, yeah. Confidence. That's a big one.
Huge. And Darren has some pretty strong opinions on this.
Oh, like what?
He basically says, waiting around to feel confident is a total waste of time.
I can see that. Like, you're not going to get anywhere just sitting around waiting for it to happen.
Exactly. It's not something that just magically appears. You have to earn it.
Through action.
He's all about action. He lays out this whole cycle. Action leads to skill, skill leads to results, results build confidence, and then that confidence fuels more action, which leads to even more success.
Wow. So it's like this upward spiral?
It is. I love how he calls out, like, the mental masturbation thing.
Yeah, yeah, like those quick fixes, the affirmations, all that stuff.
Right. People trying to boost their confidence without actually putting in the work.
It's like trying to build a house without a foundation.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Real confidence comes from, competence, from knowing that you can actually do what you set out to do.
And the only way to get there is to roll up your sleeves and start doing the work.
Exactly. So think about this. What's one small action you could take today to start building confidence in some area where you struggle? It doesn't have to be anything huge, just a little something to get that ball rolling.
Okay, I can do that.
Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been thinking about.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Or having that tough conversation you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Or even just practicing a skill for like 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. It's about taking that first step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Prove to yourself that you can do hard things.
I like it.
Now, Thursday's episode gets pretty intense. Darren tells this story about Admiral Jim Stockdale.
Who's that?
He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, endured years of, torture and uncertainty. Not your typical motivational story, right?
Definitely not, but I bet it's powerful.
It's crazy powerful. And he uses it to introduce this concept called the Stockdale Paradox.
Okay, what's that?
It's this idea that you have to balance two things that seem totally contradictory. Like, on one hand, you have to have unwavering faith that things will eventually work out.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have to have this, clear-eyed view of the brutal reality of your current situation.
So it's not about being, delusional and pretending everything's fine when it's not?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's about being honest with yourself about the challenges, but at the same time refusing to give up hope.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Stockdale actually said the people who didn't survive the POW camps were the optimists, the ones who kept saying, we'll be out by Christmas. And then Christmas would come and go, and their hope would just, crumble.
Yeah, because they weren't facing the reality of their situation.
Exactly. And Darren makes this really interesting connection to the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
Definitely a brutal time for a lot of people.
For sure.
But the thing is, the Stockdale Paradox, it's not just for, global pandemics, right?
It can apply to anything.
To any tough situation. Career setbacks, health issues, relationship problems, even just those periods of, personal uncertainty.
So it's about how we navigate those challenges.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, okay, what are the brutal facts of my situation?
Be honest with yourself.
Right. And once you have a clear picture of the challenges you're facing,
then you can start focusing on what you can control.
Yeah, and figure out how to make the most of even the toughest circumstances.
I like it.
And that brings us to Friday's episode, which wraps things up with this, totally thought-provoking analogy.
Okay, hit me with it.
He talks about a dog sitting on a nail.
A dog sitting on a nail.
Yeah. Why would a dog do that, right? If it hurts.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Well, the idea is the pain isn't, acute enough to force the dog to move. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's become tolerable.
Oh, okay. So it's like the dog's gotten used to it.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. Darren uses this to illustrate how we, as humans, we often do the same thing.
We get used to being uncomfortable.
We stay in jobs, relationships, situations that are clearly not serving us. But the pain isn't bad enough to make us change.
Because we've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Just crazy, right?
It is. And I think we all do it to some degree.
Oh, for sure. It's like we're all sitting on our own metaphorical nails.
Tolerating things that are holding us back.
So the question becomes, what nail are you sitting on? What discomfort are you putting up with in your life?
It's a tough one to think about.
It is, but it's an important question. And maybe even more importantly, what would it take for you to, get off that nail?
Yeah.
And start moving towards something better?
Maybe that's what we need to unpack in the next part of this deep dive.
Sounds like a plan.
You know what strikes me about these episodes?
What's that?
It's like Darren doesn't just throw all this motivational stuff at you and then, disappear.
Yeah, he's not just saying, go get them.
Right. He actually ties it all together, all these concepts, that they all work together,
He gives you the whole picture.
Exactly.
It's like he's handing us this, mental toolkit.
Toolkit, I like that.
We've got our signal detector to cut through all that noise, right? Our lion-like focus to stay on track.
Okay, yeah.
Our action plan for building real confidence. The Stockdale Paradox for when things get rough.
And of course, our trusty nail remover.
Got to get off that nail.
Exactly.
And what's cool is these tools, they're not just for hitting those big goals and all that.
There's more to it than that.
So much more. They're for building a life that actually feels good. A life that's meaningful and lines up with your values.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I'm not going to lie, I'm a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
We've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
All these different concepts. How do we even begin to put this into practice?
Well, I think first we need to remember these ideas, they all work together.
Okay, they're connected.
Yeah, like pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
You can't really have that laser focus if you haven't figured out how to block out the distractions,
The noise.
The noise, exactly. And sometimes getting off that nail, well, that takes action even when you don't feel totally confident.
Right.
So it's not about mastering one thing before moving on to the next. It's about understanding how they all fit together,
Okay, it's a whole system.
Exactly. And like anything else, the more you practice these things, the more natural they become.
Like riding a bike.
Exactly. Or like building a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Okay, that's a good analogy. Because it makes this whole success thing feel less intimidating.
Right.
It's not like I have to change everything overnight.
No, it's about those small, consistent changes.
Okay, little steps. I can do that.
And those small changes, they can make a big difference over time.
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly. When you start focusing on those signals and blocking out the noise, you create space for the things that really matter, And when you take action, even when you're scared, you build confidence, you build momentum.
You start seeing results.
And when you face challenges with that Stockdale Paradox mindset, you become more resilient. You get tougher.
You bend, but you don't break.
Exactly. It's like a chain reaction of awesomeness.
I love it.
Right.
But let's be honest. Not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Unfortunately not.
We're going to hit bumps in the road. We're going to face setbacks.
So how do we handle that?
Well, Darren, he's all about resilience. We should expect challenges. We should even welcome them,
As opportunities to grow.
Exactly. He reminds us that every successful person, they've all faced adversity. It's how you respond that matters.
It's about getting back up when you fall down.
And he has another great analogy for this. In Thursday's episode, he talks about bamboo.
Bamboo.
Bamboo. It bends in the wind, but it never breaks.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. It's flexible, adaptable.
So we need to be like bamboo.
Exactly. Be able to adjust when things get tough.
Roll with the punches.
Bounce back stronger.
I like it.
So it's not about avoiding the challenges altogether. It's about building the mental and emotional strength to deal with them.
Okay, so we need to build our resilience muscles.
Big time.
And that's where the Stockdale Paradox comes in.
It all comes back to the Stockdale Paradox.
Right. Remember, it's about acknowledging how hard things are, but still believing they'll get better.
That balance.
That balance.
Throughout these episodes, one thing really stood out to me.
What's that?
It's not just about, individual success. It's about making a difference,
Oh, I see.
Remember that line? The world needs your signal, not more noise.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like a call to action. To use our unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact.
To share our signals with the world.
Exactly. And when we do that, when we're living with purpose, using our talents to make a difference.
That's when we feel truly fulfilled.
It's not just about checking things off a to-do list.
It's about creating a life that matters.
Exactly.
I like it.
So before we wrap things up, I want to pause for a second and ask you, what's resonating with you the most from these episodes?
Good question. What about you?
Oh, I have a few ideas.
Okay, we'll save it for the last part.
Deal. But I'm curious, are you already doing anything differently based on what we've talked about?
Well, I'm definitely thinking about things a little differently, that's for sure.
That's a start, right?
It is. And remember, those small changes, they can lead to big results over time.
It's funny, right? We always talk about success as if it's like a finish line.
Like you hit a certain goal and boom, you've made it.
Yeah. But Darren, he has a totally different take. He sees it more as like a journey.
Oh, so not a destination.
Exactly. It's ongoing. You never really arrive,
Okay, so it's about the process.
and about constantly growing and evolving. He talks about like having a growth mindset, always learning, pushing yourself to become better.
So always striving to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And that's what keeps it interesting, right? There's always something new to learn, a new challenge, a new mountain to climb.
It's like an adventure,
Exactly. And the adventure itself is the reward.
not just the destination. I like that.
But of course, there will be bumps along the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obstacles, setbacks. They're inevitable.
It's how you deal with them that matters.
Yeah.
Like, I think about those times when I've felt like giving up.
When you just want to stay on that nail.
Oh, yeah. But it's in those moments when you push through that you realize how strong you actually are.
You build resilience.
Exactly. And Darren really emphasizes that. He's not going to sugarcoat it. Success takes work.
Dedication, focus, and a willingness to get a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Totally. He's definitely not about those participation trophies.
No shortcuts.
But he is super encouraging. Like, he really believes in people, even when they doubt themselves.
That's a good quality in a mentor.
And he also talks about how important it is to have, like, a support system.
People who believe in you.
Yeah. People who inspire you, challenge you, hold you accountable.
Like a cheering section.
Totally. Pushing you to be your best. Another thing I really appreciate about Darren's approach is that he doesn't tell you what success should look like for you.
Okay, yeah. He doesn't try to define it for you.
He wants you to define it for yourself. It's not about comparing yourself to others or chasing someone else's dream.
It's about figuring out what's truly important to you.
Yeah. Tuning out all that noise and listening to your own inner signal,
That inner voice that tells you what you're meant to do.
And sometimes that means taking risks, stepping outside your comfort zone, and pursuing those big, crazy dreams.
Getting off that nail and going for it.
Even when it's scary.
Because that's when the magic happens, right?
It is. When you're living in alignment with your purpose, when you're passionate about what you're doing, it doesn't even feel like work.
It's like an expression of who you are.
Exactly. So let's do a quick recap. What are the key takeaways here from our deep dive into Darren Hardy's wisdom?
Well, we've talked about taking action right, separating signal from noise, cultivating that laser focus, like a lion stalking its prey, building confidence by focusing on results, not just feelings.
Embracing the Stockdale Paradox.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one.
And of course, getting off that darn nail.
So many good takeaways.
But maybe the most important thing is to remember that success is a journey, not a destination.
It's about continuous growth, learning, evolving, and always striving to be the best version of yourself.
And remember, it all starts with awareness. Now that you've identified your signals, your distractions, maybe even a nail or two, what are you going to do differently?
The power is in your hands.
We hope this deep dive has given you some inspiration and some practical tools to use on your own journey.
Keep learning, keep growing, and never stop reaching for those stars.
Thanks for joining us.
That wraps up today's episode of DarrenDaily On Demand. We hope this special AI-powered recap gave you some valuable insights. If you're ready to continue leveling up and becoming better every day, make sure you join Darren Hardy and thousands of high achievers over on DarrenDaily. Visit DarrenDaily.com/join to get free daily mentoring that will keep you focused and moving forward. Thanks for listening.